Hey everybody, Mike here with part 2 of the top 100 games of all time, at least my top 100 games of all time, going through numbers 80 through 61. And just a reminder, if you didn't watch part 1, this is going to include solo, co-op, and competitive games, just anything I've enjoyed over the years. And the only major constructive comment I got from the last video was to make my head a little smaller when I was showing footage of the game. So, oh, here we go, little tiny Mike floating all over the place. But yeah, sorry, let's get to the games. So first at number 80, another blast from the past is Hero Quest. This was, besides some forays into Dungeons and Dragons, my first kind of dungeon crawler adventure experience. I talked about this a bit in a Patreon video from last month, but this was kind of a formative game for me and my closest friend group at the time. We used to make up our own missions, so it kind of got me into game design a little bit. And yeah, even though by today's standards, it's probably a little bit clunky with like roll to move and stuff, it's still an amazing experience, and like just having all those cool 3D elements like furniture and stuff. Really loved Hero Quest, my number 80. Then at 79 is another slightly older game. This one is Last Night on Earth. This is a one versus many game, which I guess Hero Quest was as well, where one player controls the zombies and the others are controlling a group of survivors. And this was kind of like an earlier version of Final Girl. It's another game that really leans into horror tropes that I love as a big horror movie fan. This game was hilarious for my game group at the time. They just had ridiculous cards, like the sort of game master character could play a card called "This might be our last night on Earth," and the characters would like sleep together and not try to stop the zombies and lose their next turn. Just ridiculous, unbalanced, silly stuff like that, right in the flying frog kind of milieu, the kind of games they like to make. And yeah, this was just a frequent guest at our table, giving us hilarious memories. Last Night on Earth is my number 79. Next at number 78, we get to Radlands. This is a 1v1 competitive skirmish card game, but I designed an unofficial solo variant for it that I'm really proud of. So it's great for solo and competitive play, great decisions in spending cards to play other cards, and the use of different like events and things, and just the variety in the cards. Even with the basic set, I think at some point they're probably going to do an expansion. I did hear rumblings about that, but even without that, I think the game is an incredible value. It's just a small, quick, fun one to play, but very tactically deep. Love Radlands. That's my number 78. Then at number 77 is our first cooperative one on the list, and this is Hanabi. This is a card-based game where the cards that you are holding are facing out towards the other players, so you don't see the cards in your own hand, and you are giving each other clues to try to play the cards in the right order. So it's one of the first games that I would consider in one of my favorite genres, sort of the cooperative deduction genre, and I really enjoy it. It was an early favorite with my wife, so we played quite a lot two-player. I think I've still only won the game, like played a perfect game where you got every card down twice, maybe. So it can certainly be challenging. But yeah, another one that comes in a very small package, at least the version that I bought, like, I don't know, $10 or $15, and can provide a ton of fun cooperative play if you like that whole limited communication deduction thing, which I very much do. My number 77, Hanabi. Next at number 76 is a very recent one, Apiary, the recent Stonemaier game. And I do feel a little bit nervous putting some newer games on here, but I'll have more to come. But this has been a favorite Euro in recent times, and specifically a Euro in sort of the light to medium range. It's pretty quick to play. It's pretty quick to explain the rules. I really like the take on worker placement they do, the sort of spatial puzzle of putting down your tiles, the combos in the tiles, and the huge variety in factions that are small changes. Like, it's not as huge as some faction games, but give you a lot of flavor to the play. The solo is great, very quick. It's one that just kind of gets out of your way and lets you play your game in a brief way. And yeah, this is my favorite Stonemaier game of all time at this point, which is saying a lot because they've come out with a lot of classic games. So that is Apiary, my number 76. Next at number 75 is That's Not a Hat, and there are going to be several sort of party kind of competitive games on this list, and some cooperative games, and this is maybe the first one. This is a very recent one. I actually learned this at the Level Up convention, playing with a bunch of content creators mainly, but since then I picked it up. It's, again, super cheap. There's like a $10 or $15 game. The basic idea of it is that the players are passing cards around at the table, but the cards are mostly face down, and you're trying to remember what cards are, and then like bluff bluff when you don't know what your card is. And it's barely a memory game because no one I've ever played with can memorize all the cards. It's more about the bluffing and just like keeping track of some things, and really just creates hilarious situations. In fact, I brought this game today. Most of my day was spent running a forensics public speaking tournament with my team represented. I played the game with the students. I played it with some of the other coaches. Everybody had a fun time with it. I've never broken this one out and not had a blast. It's one of those great party games that I think anyone can play and have fun with. That's Not a Hat, my number 75. And I like small games that cost $10, and I also like giant games that cost more than that. That's the case with my number 74, ISS Vanguard. There's another pretty recent one, a sci-fi solo co-op campaign adventure. And this game, it has something that I love in some recent campaign adventure games in that the story is really compelling. It reminds me a lot of one of my favorite recent video games, which is The Outer Wilds. It has like a lot of elements of that. It has a planet exploration that, in the vein of Unsettled, another great sci-fi game, is very rarely about combat and is more about the exploration, sort of like Star Trek Discovery kind of feel. It's fun to manage your ship. It's fun to manage your crew. There is a lot to kind of track and do stuff with, but they have an app that helps out. And yeah, it's just a beautiful production. Great campaign game. One of my recent favorites in the sci-fi space. That is ISS Vanguard, my number 74. Then at number 73, I have the Aeon's End series and kind of also the Astronaut series. They are very similar to each other. Both of them are solo co-op, really focus on co-op deck builders where you fight varied bosses. And I enjoy both of these. Now, they aren't at the top of my list of co-op deck builders. I'll have more of them coming, but they are consistently fun. I love the boss variety. The player variety is okay. And I especially like with the recent sets from both Aeon's End and from Astronauts, the expedition mode where you have like a bit of story. You have some growth in your characters, some growth in the enemies. Lots of fun things with like sort of a mini campaign mode there that I really appreciate. So yeah, the Aeon's End and Astronauts games are a ton of fun. Great option if you're looking for a co-op deck building action. That's my number 73. And then for 72, I talked last time about The Resistance, one of my favorite hidden trader games. And another one that I used to play a ton with like this one group that we would just play over and over again was One Night Ultimate Werewolf. There's another hidden trader game where you each have hidden roles. And this one is pretty unique in that, unlike The Resistance or other hidden trader games, most of them, it plays in like 5 minutes. So it really just condenses the craziness and the whodunit experience and like the accusations into the tightest time space possible. Now, this has had a ton of releases like since, like I think it was like One Night Ultimate Vampire and One Night Ultimate something else. I have only played the werewolf one. That's all that I needed, but I really did enjoy it. And this is one that I would be happy to play again with all its insanity. If you like hidden trader games, this might be one to check out. That is my number 72, One Night Ultimate Werewolf. And getting number 71, it's another campaign narrative game. This is Role Player Adventures, solo co-op game with mostly narrative resolution stuff and like choose your own adventure stuff, but also some dice-based and like card-based action. And this is one that I really love the story of. I think the way they do story and exploration and kind of choices and moral gray areas is fabulous. Some of the best in the business. The other stuff where like you're manipulating dice with cards is good. The balance was kind of a mess in the original release. They've mostly fixed it in the newer version of the rules. I think it's mostly there. Like I'm 90% happy with it. So yeah, this has been a series that I think has kind of had to find its legs and it's needed some tinkering. And even now I think it might need some house rules and stuff to make it be the best it can be. But man, that narrative portion and the exploration portion is just so well done that really rises it up quite high in my estimations. That is my number 71, Role Player Adventures. And then my number 70 is kind of a dark horse that came out a bit out of nowhere for me. This is Assault on Doomrock. I used to love the original releases, but the game was blindingly hard. And that made it a little bit, and it was also very long. But the stuff that I love about the game, this is a boss battler before like boss battlers were a big thing, with really cool leveling up. It's dice placement, really interesting timing. It has no board. You're just fighting enemies in kind of like this system where all that matters is your proximity to other enemies, which I think is genius. It's cheap compared to most boss battlers. It plays excitingly. It has great tactical choices. But yeah, some of like the rules overhead and the exploration phase sometimes, and the length of the game and the challenge was a little rough. So I wasn't sure if I would include this on the list, but then I finally played the review copy they sent of the Ultimate Edition that finally delivered. And they have like variants to fix every single thing you might not like. Like you want to skip the exploration phase, go ahead. You want to make the game easier, go ahead. You want to make the game harder, I don't know anybody who'd want to do that, but go ahead. And with those variants taking care of the nitpicks, I love the variety here. I love the character building. I love the combat. Even the adventure phase can be fun. It's got a great sense of humor. As long as you don't mind some tinkering and using the variants that they give you, Assault on Doomrock is a blast for boss battler, dungeon crawler, adventure fans in general. It's my number 70. Then for number 69, hey, I think it's the first appearance of one of my favorite game companies of all time. They will show up more later. Level 99, and their first big game, I think, BattleCon, which is a 1v1 fighting game, but also has an official solo co-op mode in the Devastation box. And then I also made an unofficial solo mode that like plays more like the regular game that I think is really good. Maybe not quite as good as some other games I might mention later, but I still think it's a really solid one. But yeah, this one, like Exceed, which is another similar game that I love. BattleCon has great combat, huge diversity in characters. It is a little zero-sum for my taste in that you know exactly which cards your opponent has, so you can kind of like min-max and think through things, but it can be exciting or frustrating depending on your taste. We tend to play it a little bit fast and loose and have a lot of fun with it that way. But yeah, for somebody like me who loves variety in characters and trying out different builds and things and different strategies, and someone who loves brawling games that play quickly and in a fun way, BattleCon is awesome, and that makes it my number 69. And hey, we've got a double header of games coming from companies that I love that will have a lot of other games on the list. Number 68 is 20 Strong. So this is a solo-only dice management, sort of like adventure combat game with different modules you can apply to change up the rules, change up the goals, change up the upgrades. It's got a lot of fun comboing in your characters. I love the resource management and the excitement of rolling the dice and deciding what to stick with. The combos of like how enemies come out, the variety in the modes. I can't wait to see more of this one. I think it'll only go up in my estimation as they release more for it, but even the 3 starting sets already are great. So yeah, this is an awesome one for those solo fans out there. If you're, have taste like mine, I can't say everyone will love it, but for me, it's good enough to already be in my number 68 slot. That's 20 Strong. Next, at number 67 is another one of my game designs with Peter. This was the second game we had published, Dark Dealings. This is a competitive or solo card-based game where you are the villains defending your dungeon, and it has like kind of a drafting phase mixed with card-based combat to defeat these heroes. You have fun powers, and your defenses have fun powers too. A game that I'm very proud of. I think one of our best designs still, just for like a very quick distilled experience. And we actually just recently, for those who have a copy, or I think, yeah, the one who has the game right now is Dice Hate Me, and it's supposed to be on sale at their web store, so you can go check that out if you're interested. But Peter and I designed a new co-op mode for this that actually works friggin' great. Like, I'm so happy with how this cooperative mode came together. Maybe I'll try to do a video of it at some point. But yeah, I think the game is great. Solo, competitive, co-op. If you like a fun, quick, 15-minute tactical card game, this one is a blast. A design I'm very proud of. My number 67, Dark Dealings. Then coming up at number 66 is the Imperium series, talking about Imperium classics and legends. What's the next one coming? Horizons, I think. This is a competitive game of ancient empires that's a kind of like deck builder, combo builder, and then you also have a solo mode. This one is a blast. You've already heard me say that I like games with varied factions and things. This one has such cool combos and differences between the civilizations, and even the solo mode uses the civilizations differently. Now, I will say, I would never play this one with 3 or more players. I have played it sometimes. I don't think like the civilizations that take that other like factions and hit other factions are balanced well, in my opinion at least, for higher player count games. I don't like how long the game takes with higher player count games. But for solo and 2-player, this one is excellent. The solo mode works great, and I'm really excited for the new Horizons content. Love some of the civilizations in there, like my wife's Taino-loving heritage is represented, which is great. So yeah, Imperium, awesome one for deck builder, like more crunchy deck builders. I do want to say that, but a crunchier deck builder experience. This one is excellent, and it's my number 66. And we got some back-to-back deck builders. Number 65 is a recent one I covered, Clank Catacombs. But this is kind of representing the Clank series in general. These are competitive or solo deck builders, solo with an app-assisted mode, where you are trying to go through a dungeon with your cards from your deck building, like moving you around, trying to get treasures, trying to earn points, and then get out of dodge before you die. The tension of this game is great. The deck building can be a lot of fun. Yeah, it's a little bit of one where like your deck sometimes gets too unwieldy and too large, but still while. I have fun with it. But here's the thing. If Clank Catacombs had not come out, I don't think this one would be in my top 100. Like, I enjoy Clank. I enjoy Clank in Space pretty well. But dang, does Catacombs kick it up a notch. The map building, the exploration, the tactical choices of how you build the map, and also the fun way it plays around with the solo campaign and like the different things they do with the tiles in there. I think it is easily, now I have not played Clank Legacy, but with that being said, I think it is easily the best version of Clank I've ever played. One of my favorites kind of adventure deck building experiences overall. That is Clank Catacombs, my number 65. And then at number 64, we're back to a competitive only 1v1 game. This is War Chest. And I really enjoy the Undaunted series. I thought about including one of those games on my top 100. And maybe if I play more of Stalingrad, because I do enjoy the campaign mode of that, maybe I will. Or maybe the upcoming Callisto, I think it is, the sci-fi one. But man, I finally played War Chest. I only played it about, I don't know, recently in the last few months. Woo, my boy and I, we like competitive tactical games. This one is great. It takes away pretty much all the luck of Undaunted except for drawing tokens from a bag. So you don't have like any of the dice-based combat or anything anymore. The variety in units is crazy, especially if you get some of the expansions. It's quick to play. It's fun. The components are lovely with these weighted chips and stuff. So yeah, this one has quickly jumped up the ranks for my, again, I like solo skirmish, like competitive tactical games. War Chest is so much fun, so many choices, so many combos in the units, so much fun in the drafting and like how you activate things and who you boost and what do you try to capture. Even with like sort of the simplicity of the same map each time compared to Undaunted, I like this better, at least right now, and it's my number 64, War Chest. And yeah, y'all are probably going to tell me to shut up about skirmish games, because here's another one. Number 63 is Hoplomachus Victorum. This is another Chip Theory one. I like the Hoplomachus series in general for great tactical combat, but Victorum, the solo-only campaign-based one, is for my money the best that Hoplomachus has ever been. You've got this awesome squad building that makes me think of things like XCOM. You've got variety in these events you do. You've got like traveling around the board. You've got these crazy boss fights. Now, there are like a few wrinkles, but from what I've seen of the content that was in the Pandora crowdfunding campaign that I covered, I think those are going to be ironed out, making this game an even better experience than it already is. Hoplomachus Victorum is big, but it's beautiful, and it's my number 63. Then at number 62, almost done, is another sci-fi game. Interesting to see this in the exact same bracket as ISS Vanguard. This is Unsettled. Now, unlike Vanguard, this is a one-off game. There's no campaign, and it is much more focused on action optimization and like cooperative tactical puzzle solving than it is on like the narrative. Although this has great comedic writing. Thank God for a game that is funny to play and read. But yeah, I love this one for the tactical puzzle, the amazing cooperation between players with the abilities, and the huge variety in the planets. Now, I went all in for the original Kickstarter. I have all the stuff for the new Kickstarter. I have so many planets to try, but it is just wild to play a different planet and have entirely different stuff happen, and like thematically and mechanically, so many interesting things. I just love the change up here, and it is, for me, a tactical puzzle lover, a joy. That's my number 62, Unsettled. And then finally, my number 61, One Stop Call Shop fans, please don't kill me. Number 61 is a great rank. This is out of thousands of games that I have played in my life. This is Mage Knight. I know it's a favorite of a lot of yours. I love it too. This is an amazing game for solo. It's an adventure game. It's a deck builder. It's a combat game. It's fun. Would I play competitive again? No. Would I play co-op again? Definitely not. It's only a solo game for me. And it is longer than I'd like. It's harder for me to get to the table. I forget the rules. The split rulebook doesn't work that well. There's a lot of things that make it down here at 61 instead of like all the way up in my top 20. But man, the card play, the puzzle of figuring out how to play your cards just the right way to defeat that enemy and then use the mana crystals to do that and then fire off this amazing power and build your deck this way and get that ability. I love all of that. That is Mage Knight at its best. For some people, it might break their brain. It breaks my brain too, but in the best possible way. So hey, no shade to Mage Knight. It's an amazing game. All the way up to my number 61. I love it. And I love you for watching this video. I hope you're enjoying it. Let me know how angry you are that Mage Knight is not number 1. Let me know what you think of Mini Mike's head. Anything, any comments you have, I appreciate them. And we'll see you in about a week for the next part of the list, 60 to 41, getting into the amazing stuff. Thanks for watching, everybody. Good gaming, and I'll see you at the next stop.